Okay, welcome everyone as we welcome in Saba, and we welcome in Yisrael Fisher, Yitzi Muller, Aaron Swade, Yitzchak Asbel, Abi Spry, Mel Zachter, Nachman Chapler, Dr. Block, then Cian Cohn, Irving Fishbaum, Nathan, Rabbi Kranz, Michal, Stephen Holtzman, Moshe Lehman, Moshe Jacklin, Ilya Shutman, Yuda from Yerushalayim, Chaim Braun. David Helfgott is joining us on Kala Lashin, and we have over here Abba Steinhauser, Aryeh Pullman, Avram Allen Weissman, Sandy Grunfeld. Sandy tells us that Chav Vav Av is the yard site of the Heilige Reb Yael from Satmar, the Frierdiker Satmar Rebbe, Zecher Tzadik, the Kodesh Bracha, Zchusu Yagen Aleinu. It's also his birthday. He gives the Chevra a blessing for good health, and we wish a happy birthday to our dear Chaver Adaf, Sandy Grunfeld. Avram Rothman has just joined us, and Mark Frankel is coming in. Okay. Mo Kushner has just joined us. Mark, it's good to have you. We've been missing you.
Good to be back, Rabbi.
Mark, did you send a question whether I was going to be in Fairways? Was that you?
No, it's a Mark imposter. I don't know who that is, but I saw that also.
Are you going to be joining us for the Siyum?
I'm working on it. I hope to, Rabbi. Yes.
Oh, that would really.
I haven't missed the Siyum, and I'm looking to do something.
That would really be nice. Yeah, I'm traveling in from further than you.
There you go.
Yeah. Okay.
Rabbi Weiss?
Yes.
Can we learn it's my grandmother's yard site tonight?
What's her name?
Elka Bas Uri.
Elka Bas Uri. Her neshama should have an aliyah. She should be a mlitzis yosher for her family, for all of us and all of Klal Yisrael. We're sponsored by Abi Spry and family for the tefillah that all children should get into yeshiva quickly and easily, and it's coming down to crunch time. We are sponsored by Baruch Ian Lila Nishmas Esther Bas Yaini Yaakov Chaim Ben Abba Avram Ben Shmuel HaKayin. The neshama should have an aliyah. We also learn L'Refur Shalema for my shver Avigdor Aryeh Ben Rivka. My shver is going to be leaving tomorrow to Florida to take an experimental treatment in South Florida, so we really have him in mind. Also, we have in mind from Meir Ben Chaya Sarah that he should have a Refuah Shalema B'Seich Shar Chayla Yisrael. We have some technical Gemara tonight, so fasten your seatbelts for some technical Gemara. We are holding two lines from the bottom of Daf Pei Vav Amid Beis. Chamisha Shekasvu Klal. Now remember, we had a machlokes. Here are 5 men divorcing 5 women, and they're cheap on the paper, and they're putting it all on one piece of paper with one set of witnesses signing on the bottom. So we said that if they join them together, and it says Chaim is divorcing Sarah, and Yitzchak is divorcing Chaya, and Levi is divorcing Leah, and the witnesses sign on the bottom, then it's good. But if it has 5 boilerplates, and the witnesses sign on the bottom, the witnesses are just signing on the last boilerplate, and only the last get is good, and the rest of them are not good. So the Gemara says, Heichi Dami Klal, what's considered where they're all joined together, and Heichi Dami Taifis, where it's different boilerplates that only the bottom one is good. Amar Rabbi Yochanan, so Rabbi Yochanan says a big chiddush. He says, even if there are 5 different boilerplates, but Zman Echad L'Kulan, but there's one date for all of them, Zel Klal, that joins them all together, as we welcome in Elliot Goldstein, that joins them all together, and the signatures on the bottom are for all 5 couples. But Zman L'Kol Echad Ve'echad, if there's a date for each one separately, Zeo Taifus, that's considered that each one is separate, and therefore the witnesses are only on the bottom one. Reish Lakish says no. Afilu zman echad lekulan, even if there's one date for all of them, but if there's 5 separate boilerplates, nami have a typhus. That's still considered 5 separate gittin, and therefore the witnesses are only good on the bottom one. Elahechi dami klal, what's considered that they're all joined together, the cause of where you join all the couples together. Anu, Pliny, I, Chaim, and Stephen, and Yankee, and Yossi, and Meir, Gerashnu, Nesheseinu, Plynus, Leah, and Sprinza, and Chaya, and Rachel, and Sarah. So Maskil Rabbi Abba, Rabbi Yochanan, the Amar Zman Echad Lekulan, that if there's one date for all of them, we say that they're all joined together, Zo Klal, but why? We should be concerned that when the witness is signed, they only sign on the bottom boilerplate. Since there's 5 separate boilerplate, 5 separate nuschos, and they sign only on the bottom one, so we should be concerned that they're only signing on the bottom one and not on the 4 above. If there's a get, and under the get it says that I send my greetings to this and this Bezdin, and witnesses sign on the bottom of that, we're concerned that maybe they only signed on the greeting. Eidim chaysm al shela shalom beget puzzle. Chayshinon shema al shela shalom chasmu. That they only signed about the greeting. So here, for sure, they only signed on the bottom get, not on the 4 above it. Says the Gemara, Lavid Marallah Amar Rabbi Avo, wasn't it said in explanation of this, Amar Rabbi Avo, L'didi mifresha l'minei de Rabbi Yochanan, to me it's explained by Rabbi Yochanan, if there's one zman, how do we say that the signatures are going on all 5? She'elu, if it says she'elu without a vav, puzzle. Vishe'elu, but with a connecting vav, kosher. So we see that a connecting vav combines them. Hachanami dichsiv be Pliny, upliny. In other words, each boilerplate had a connecting vav. Says the Gemara, Besu, furthermore, Rabbi Yochanan Damar Zman L'Kol Echad, that if there's one date for all of them, Zeu Typhus, according to Rabbi Yochanan that says, according to Rabbi Yochanan that says Zman L'Kol Echad, if each one has its own date, Zeu Typhus, then it's considered that each one is a separate get, and the signature on the bottom is only going on the bottom one. The Gemara assumes when it says a date for each one that it means a different date for each one. So the Gemara says, "My area mishum typhus." Why should we say that the problem is because of that each one is a separate boilerplate and the signature is only going on the bottom one? The tefet late nichtav b'yayim v'nechtav malayla. Since the signature on the bottom is obviously the last date of the bottom get, because the bottom get has a later date, so then it would be disqualified because the earlier ones have an earlier date. That means they were written on one day and signed afterwards, and that's no good. So the Gemara says, no, when he says that each one has a different date, each one has a date on it, but it's the same date. Each one says, Yom Choda B'Shaba. Amalei Markashisha B'Reidu Rav Chitzler Rav Ashi Hachi Amina Mishmeidu Rabbi Yochanan Dichsibu B'Chad B'Shaba. Each one has the same date of a Sunday, but still, since they each have a separate date, that divides them, and therefore we have to be concerned that the signature on the bottom is only on the bottom one. Amalei Ravina Rav Ashi. So Ravina asks Rav Ashi, L'Reish Lakish, according to Reish Lakish, Da'amar Zman Echad L'Kulam, that even if they have one date, but because they have separate boilerplates, Taifas have and when is it considered that they're all bunched together? We say that the signature is for all 5 couples, where they're all joined together. Anu Pliny, I, Chaim, and Stephen, and Yaakov, and Shimon, and David, Gerashnu Nesheseinu Plainis are divorcing Tzivya, and Chaya, and Leah, and Devorah, and Shprinza. But wait a second. If they're bunched up in that fashion, then Nimtzu Shtei Nashim Miskashim Get Echad. In this case, 5 women will be divorced with the same get. But the Torah says, Vatayra Amra, because of law. It has to be exclusively for one woman, V'loi la ula kaverta, and not for her and her colleague. So now the Gemara adds a very important piece of information. The Hadar Kasev, it then says exclusivity. Pliny Girish Pliny, David is divorcing Tzivia, or Pliny Girish Plinus, and Chaim is divorcing Shpenza, etc. So they're bunched together, so therefore the Edom is going on everything, but then we say it exclusivity, that it should be because of law. Now, we've learned many times that the laws of get shikra, of a writ of emancipation, is learned out from the laws of Gittin Daf. But so therefore the Gemara wonders, how is this different from that which we learned in the Brisa? In the event that Chatzkel writes his entire estate to Tony and Mike. So Kanu, the 2 of them acquire this estate, but since they each owe half of the other, and they emancipate each other. But how could they be freed with a get shikra that's given to the 2 of them? It has to be exclusively for each one, like the cause of law. So the Gemara says, it was explained over there that Chatzka wrote a star for Mike and he wrote a star for Tony. So it was 2 stars. So now, Tanya Kavasi de Rabbi Yochanan and Tanya Kavasi de Reish Lakish. We have a raya like Rabbi Yochanan and we have a raya like Reish Lakish. Remember, Rabbi Yochanan is of the opinion that having one's man for all of them, even if there's 5 boilerplates, but having, as we welcome in Jay Nathanson, who's joining us, welcome. And since you're joining us in progress, you should know that we are holding 4 lines into the wide lines on Daf Pei Zayin Amud Aleph. Rabbi Yochanan is of the opinion that even if there are 5 separate boilerplates, but if there's a Zman Echad Lekulan, that combines them. So Tanya Kavasi to Rabbi Yochanan, we have a raya to Rabbi Yochanan. Chamisha shekasu b'seich get. You have 5 couples, each playing Megash planes, or Pliny planes, or Pliny planes. So that means that there's 5 separate boilerplates. V'zman echad lekulan, but if there's one date for all of them, v'edim ilmata, the witness is signed below, kulan kasherin, they're all kosher because the one date combines them all. V'tinasin l'kol achas v'achas, and you have to give the get to each one of them. Zman l'kol echad v'echad, but if there's a zman for each one, v'edim ilmata, so then only the bottom one is good. Esha edim nikrayim imay, the bottom one that the edim are read with is kosher. Rabbi Yehuda ben Meseira says, Im yesh revach beinayim pasal. Where do we say that the edim only go on the last one? That's if there's a space between each get, each boilerplate. V'imla, but if not kosher, why? She'ein zman mafsikin, because the date does not separate them. Now, Tanya Kavasi to Reish Lakish. Remember, Reish Lakish says that even if it has one date, that's not enough to combine it, unless we combine the names in the get. It has to say that Chaim, David, Yankee, Avrami and Shmuel are divorcing Suri, Tzivya, Shprinza, Leah, and Avigail. So Tani Kavasi Reish Lakish, Chamisha Shekosvu Klal B'Seicha Get, if they did combine them, Anu Pliny, I, David and Chaim and Avrami and Chatzkel and Shmuel, Gerashnu, Shasein, Pliny are divorcing Tzivya and Chaya and Devorah and Shprinza and Leah. And then, as we explained, they have to say them exclusively also in order it should be the cause of law. Pliny Girish Plynus or Pliny Girish Plynus. Uzman echad lekulan, and there's one zman for all of them. The edim mata, and the witness is signed below. Then kulan ksherim. Then it's all good. B'tinas on the kol achas v'achas. Zman lekol echad v'echad. If each one has its own zman, v'revach lekol echad v'echad, and there's a space between each one. V'edim l'mata, and the witnesses are below. Eshel edim nikrinima, the bottom one that the edim are with. Caution. Even if there's no room between them, puzzle. Why? Because Shazman Mafsakan, because the date separates them, and therefore the witnesses only go on the last one. Now, Reish Lakish, according to Reish Lakish, my area's man l'kol echad ve'echad. Why does there have to be a date for each one? Even if there's Ha'amar's man echad l'kulam, even if there's one date, but if they each have a boilerplate, nami taifas ave, it's each considered separately, and the witnesses are only on the bottom one, says the Gemara. Yeah, that's if they didn't combine all the names. Hani mili echad alay arvina meikara. That's only if they didn't combine all the names in the beginning. Aval hachad arvinu meikara. The only way the witnesses will be on the bottom one, that's ipoliglu zman in, only if they have separate dates, eloi, and if not, not. Okay, now before we learn the next Mishnah, I need to give you a little bit of a hakdama. A little bit of a preface. You see, in Jewish style, when we sign our name, the son of our father. That's what we used to. Moshe Meir ben Aaron Tzvi. The Greek style is to give the father covet and to put his name first, father of us. So then in Greek style, it would write Aaron Tzvi, whose son is Moshe Meir. Makes a very big difference when you have two Gittin side by side. You have two Gittin, one get on first column and a get on the second column. And Eidim go from right to left, from under the first column to under the second column. So if you're signing in Hebrew style, so then my name is under the first get, Moshe Meir ben Aaron Tzvi. If I'm signing in Greek style, then my name is under the second get, because I signed my father, Aaron Tzvi, whose son is Moshe Meir. Then my name would be under the second get. I'm going to pause for one moment. I'll be right back. You do Okay, so now that we have that hakdama, so let's learn the Mishnah inside. Shnei Gittin shekosman zeh b'tzad zeh. Two Gittin that are written one next to each other. One the first column, one the second column. We'll call the one to the right get A, and we'll call the one to the right get B. Ushnayim eidim ivrim ba mitachah zeh l'tachah zeh, and you have two eidim that are right in Jewish style, coming from under the one to under the other. Ushneim eidim yevonim ba mitachah zeh l'tachah zeh, and two Greek signators going from under one to under the other one. So the Gemara now says, the Mishnah says, that only the first two eidim count. The second two eidim lower, which are interrupted by the first two eidim, don't do their job. So therefore, Esha eidim harishonim nikroin imai kasher. The one who the eidim rishonim are read with it, a kasher. So that means that if the first two signators are Hebrew, so then the name of the person is under the first get A to the right, Moshe Meir ben Aaron Tzvi, so then the first get is kasher. If the ones that signed, the first two that signed in the Greek fashion, so it says Aaron Tzvi, whose son is Moshe Meir, so then the names are under the get B to the left, so then that get is kosher. Now why the next two eidim are not good, that the Gemara is going to talk about. Eid echad ivri, eid echad yavani, ve'eid echad ivri, ve'eid echad yavani, ba mitachah zeh l'tachah zeh, shneim psulim. Because even the top two is mixed up. Because if the first one signed in a Jewish style, so that aid's name is under get A to the right, Moshe Meir ben Aaron Tzvi. And then the one who signed under that signed in Yavanis, so then the son's name is under the get B on the left side. So you don't have two witnesses on top on the same get. So now the Gemara wonders, hold everything. If under the get it says Ruvain ben Yaakov Eid, so Ruvain ben is under get A, and Yaakov Eid is under get B. So Ruvain ben should be a good signature for get A, and Yaakov Eid should be a good signature for get B. And that's what the Gemara says. V'liskasher hai beruvain, v'hai beben Yaakov Eid. Let the first one be kosher with Ruvain, the Eid is Ruvain, and the second one should be kosher with Ben Yaakov, because Ben Yaakov is also a good way. I could say the son of Aaron Tzvi, that's also good. Dotanan ben ish ploni Eid kosher. So the Gemara says, the cost of Ruvain ben Akama, Ruvain a son under the first one, v'Yaakov Eid abasra, and Yaakov Eid on the other one. So the Gemara says, what's the problem? V'liskasher hai beRuvain ben. Let the first one be good with Ruvain ben. V'liskasher hai beYaakov Eid. Datanan ish ploni Eid kosher. Says the Gemara, the loy kosav Eid. V'ba yisema la'olam de kosav Eid. But it's not good with Yaakov Eid because you know that guy is not Yaakov. You know that handwriting is not Yaakov. So that's not good. Ask Gemara, wait a second. Even though you know that he's not Yaakov, but maybe it's Reuven and he signed with his father's name. V'dilma b'shma d'avu achasim. To give honor to his father, he signed with his father's name. Says Gemara, lo shavik in shmei, a person doesn't forsake his name, v'chasim shma d'avu, and sign with his father's name. Says Gemara, but maybe that he made that his siman. He was so proud of his father that he made that his signature. V'dilma simana shavya. Maybe he made his father his emblem. You can make an emblem and sign with an emblem. The Rav Tzayer Kavra, Rav signed with a fish. Rav Chanina Karusa, Rav Chanina signed with a palm branch. Rav Chisda Samach, Rav Chisda made a Samach. Rav Oishia made an ayin. Rabba Bar Afuna Tzayer Makusa, the mast of a boat. Says Gemara, Leichotzev inish l'shvuya l'shma da'avu simana. A person doesn't make out of his father's name a seal. Says the Gemara, but I don't understand why we said that if the first two signatures sign in Hebrew, so that's good for the first get A, because the name of the person is said first. Moshe Meir ben Aaron Tzvi and Reuven ben Yaakov. So that's under the first get. And then the Greek witnesses underneath, they have Shimon, Yaakov ben Shimon, because Yaakov the father whose son is Shimon, and Amram whose son is Moshe. So then that should be good for get B, because you have then two signatures for get B. So says the Gemara, let's see inside. Let get A be good with the two Hebrew signatures. And let get B on the left be good. The fact that the two Hebrew signatures interrupted, that's not a problem. Did not get Shekosvu Ivris, the aid of Yavanis. First of all, it's not a problem that it's different styles. A get that's written in Hebrew and the Eidim sign in Greek, or Yavanis Greek, the aid of Ivris, kosher. And the fact that the two signatures of Hebrew interrupt, it's no good. But if before you got the two kosher signatures, you filled it up with relatives, kosher. So the Gemara says, you're right. Tatani ze'iri, shneim kesherim. They're both kosher. The Tana Didan, our Tana was afraid of the following. Our Tana was afraid that the Greek Eidim, seeing that the Hebrew Eidim put their name first, the Greek aid might also copy and put his name first, and then the father's name. And then his name won't be under the second get. Dilma gundulis chosim. Gundulis is a very unusual word, but it means that maybe he'll break from tradition, he'll break from convention, and the two Greek witnesses might also put their names first. And if they do that, then nothing is signed under the left get. The kulu achadu de chasime. And then all of them would be signing only on the right get and nobody on the left get. Now the Mishnah then goes on to say, Eid echad ivri, the Eid echad yavani. If one aid is Hebrew and one aid is Greek, it's no good. Now, if there's no chiddush, if the first witness signed Moshe Meir ben Aaron Tzvi, and the second witness in Greek signed Amram, whose son is Moshe, then of course the first get is no good. Because it doesn't have two signatures, because the first one is signed by the first one, the 8 is under the get A, and the second one, the 8 is under get B. However, there is another way to learn the Mishnah that would make it good. And that is that I signed under the get on the right, get A, Moshe Meir ben Aaron Tzvi. Then the Greek witness signed starting under get B, Amram, and then he put under get A, Ben Moshe 8. So then that should be good. Because here you have both people under get A. And that's the Gemara's kasha. V'lis kasher hai be'ed echad ivri ve'ed echad yavani, v'hai be'ed echad ivri ve'ed echad yavani. The fact that they're two different types of styles, that's no problem. Datanan eid echad ivri ve'ed echad yavani kasher. So the Gemara says, you're right, Tatani is the Irish name, Kesherim. They're both kosher, if done in that fashion. Aye, but V'tana di done, our Tana is worried that Dilma Gundalis Chasam. We're afraid that the Greek guy might get confused. One of them. And if one of them gets confused, then one of them will put his name first instead of his father's name first, and then instead of being 2 on one and 2 on the other, it will turn out to be 3 on one and 1 on the other. Because we worry people, when they see a style of signature, they might copy that style of signature. So let me just give you an example of how it would be 3 on 1 and 1 on 1. So I sign under get A, Moshe Meir ben Aaron Tzvi. Now, the next aide was supposed to sign under get B, his father's name, Amram, and then put under get A, Ben Moshe. And then you would have 2 witnesses under get A. But he saw my style, and instead he put under get B his name, Moshe ben Amram. So he was signing, instead of under get A, he was signing under get B. And the next 2 witnesses also signed under get B, because they were the signatures of get B. So then there would be 3 signatures on get B and only 1 signature on get A. So that's why the Mishnah would say it's no good. Because of that.
Are they signing right to left?
Huh?
Are they signing right to left?
Everybody's signing right to left. Everybody's signing right to left.
So how do you have 3 on one side? It's a Ben Moshe. Is that going on the other side? Is that what the problem is?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Now, says the next Mishnah, if let's say, there's 12 lines in the get. Let's say he wrote 10 lines on one column, 2 lines on the next column, and then the witness is signed on the second column. Shire mixes a get. By the way, the 12 lines in the get, that's why it's called a get. Taisa says on that base, get is begematria 12, because there's 12 lines in a get. It's a fascinating Taisvis, which is a very big insight into Aramaic, because usually we believe that you could only make a gematria on an intrinsic language. Lashon Kodesh is intrinsic language. If you take an English word and you make a gematria, it's cute, but it's meaningless, because English is not an intrinsic language. So those people that make gematrias on English words, it's a waste of time. And yet over here, Tosfos does make a gematria on get, which is Aramaic. So this is not such a big chiddush because we know that the Gemara Megillah says that Onkelos is Misinai. So therefore Aramaic is also a Sinai language, and Taisus at least holds that it's an intrinsic language which you could make gematrias with. Now, so Shaya Mikzas Haget, he wrote 10 lines on the first column, on one column, and then V'Kosovo B'Daf Hasheni on the second column, 2 lines, V'Eidim Milmata, and then under those 2 lines it's signed, kosher, that's okay. Chosmu Eidim B'Rosh Hadaf, if they signed on the top, or Minatzad, or on the side, or Me'achurav, or on the back of the get poshut that doesn't have any folds, not a get mekusher, puzzle. The get is puzzle. Hikif roishel zeh b'tzad roishel shel zeh. If you have 2 gittin that are back to back, with the head of one facing the head of the other one, and the Eidim are in the middle, the Eidim Emtza, and the witness is signed in the middle, that's worthless. Shnei Psulin, because none of the witnesses are signed at the end of the document. Soifai shel zeh b'tzad soifai shel zeh. If you have the bottom of one facing the bottom of the other, so then, Eidim Emtza, if the witnesses are in the middle, then only the one that the witnesses are read with, Esha Eidim Nikrim Imai, the one that the witnesses are read with, is kosher. Roishay Shel Zeh B'tzad Soifay Shel Zeh, if the head of one is facing the end of the other, V'Eidim Be'emtza, and the witnesses are in the middle, so if the witnesses are read together with the one that has the bottom there, Esha Eidim Nikrim Soifay kosher. We already learned get shekatsu ivris ve'ed of Yavanis ve'ed of ivris. We already learned the get was written in Hebrew and the witness is signed in Greek, or the get was written in Greek and the witness is signed in Hebrew. Oy eid echad ivri ve'ed echad Yavani, or if you have one witness ivri, one witness Yavani, and they sign correctly with the right name. One witness signs in the Hebraic style, and one witness signs in the Greek style, or ksav sefer ve'ed, or the handwriting of the cipher, which we'll see means also the signature of the cipher, according to one opinion, and one aid, kosher. Or if it's just the handwriting of the cipher and an aid, it's kosher. Ish Pliny aid, if it just said Ruvain aid, kosher. Ben Ish Pliny aid, the son of Yaakov aid, kosher. Ish Pliny ben Ish Pliny, if it says Ruvain ben Yaakov without saying aid, v'loy kasav aid, also kosher. And so did the pure people in Yerushalayim do. Now the Gemara is going to learn B'Pashtus that this means if he wrote his family name and she wrote her family name, instead of saying the first name, or if it means a nickname, there's another pshat, kosher. So now the Gemara says, let's start first on the first halacha, that if the get was dated and 10 lines on the first column, or on the first page, and the 2 lines and signature on the second page, it's good. But asks Gemara, who says, V'leichish dilmahani tre gite hava. These were portions of 2 gittin. You see, this person had a lot of conditions on his get, and he didn't want the conditions. So, Visramele zman dekama, you had the date and the first one, the Eidim de Basra, and the witnesses of the second one, the Gazia lizman de Basra, he cut the date of the second one and the rest of the text, the Eidim de Kama, and the witnesses of the first one, together with the unwanted conditions, and he put them together. So that the easiest answer is, as the Gemara is going to say later, Rav Ashi is going to say later, it had clear borders. so that you could see it wasn't torn. But now, Amar Rab Abba, Amar Rav, Kishiyesh Revach Milmata, where there was space after the 10 lines till the end of the page. So you saw that nothing was torn. Says the Gemara, but still ask on the second page. Dilma's man the Basra Megiz Geyser. Says the Gemara, Kid Amar Rab Abba, Amar Rav, and maybe this one was never signed. And that's a different get. So the Gemara says, Kid Amar Rab Abba, Amar Rav, Kishiyesh Revach Milmata, there's room below. Here also, there's room above. Hachanami Kishiyesh Revach Milmala. Says the Gemara, if there's room, then maybe he stopped and changed his mind in between. V'dilma imluche imlach, says the Gemara, and then v'kasim, and then he continued, and if there was a change of mind in the middle, it's no good. Says the Gemara, the kasim hari at milmata, the last words on this first one was hari at, and muteres milmala. Says the Gemara, maybe he changed his mind between hari at and muteres. V'dilma isramelei, says the Gemara, now we're not chayshish. Kulei hay loy chayshina. Rav Ashi says a simpler answer, like I told you. We're not worried that it was torn because we see definable borders. We could see that the paper wasn't torn. The idea by mischascha de megilta, you could tell by the border around the parchment that it was the end of the parchment. It wasn't torn. We'll pause a moment just to change the page. Change the camera.